But when you do, you got to do what's on the inside of you. If you don't, you'll always wonder, should I have done this? Should I have done that? But it's not until you do what is on the inside of you to do it. God said, I knew you were going that way anyway. And I already got something prepared to bring you back around to show you that's not quite right, but I'm going to bring you right back around to where you need to be. There is a God in heaven this morning. Go your way. And if there's a God, he's going to step in and do what God alone can do in your life. Go your way into the village over against you. And as soon as you be entered into it, notice, you shall find a coat tied whereon never a man sat. Loose him. Bring him. And if anybody asks you anything, I'm paraphrasing. If they ask you why you're untying a coat that don't belong to you, just tell them, the Lord told me to go get him. And when you tell them that, the man immediately will let you go, let him go. I don't know about you. Go over there, you'll find a car inside the garage. Garage is locked. Pick the locks, pull it up, jump in the car, take the car. If anybody asks you, man, what are you messing with my whip for? Why are you borrowing with my ride? Just tell them the Lord told me to take it. Lord, you got another mission I can go on? Right? Is there something that sounds more spiritual that I can do that I can carry my Bible so they know I'm telling the truth? It just doesn't sound right. Sometimes the Lord asks us to do things that just don't sound right. And by doing this, you take a chance. A chance. You will never do anything for the Lord without taking a chance. Without taking a chance. It took confidence, didn't it? It took confidence in the Lord that what he was saying was true. So in actuality, they confided in the Lord. It was an assurance in their mind, in the belief and the integrity of the reality of what he was saying. Not only does it take confidence to follow God, but it takes courage. It takes courage to do what he asks you to do. It really does. Sometimes the things that the Lord speaks to our hearts about seem strange. Suppose it wasn't his voice. Suppose that was just some craziness in my head. Suppose I just made this thing up on my own. It's a chance. And sometimes the things that God asks us to do seem so strange. The time when he told us to leave New York, quit my job. No reasonable thinking man would walk away from a job, walk away from a house, and then go down to some other state that got no relatives there in case things don't work. Say, we don't have a house, can we stay with you? Wasn't nobody there. To leave all those things because God said to leave it. It was strange when he said it. And I think I said, all I got to do is to test this out, I'll just tell my wife about it, and surely she'll say, you out of your mind. But she didn't say that. So like the more steps I took for somebody to say stop, nobody stopped me. So I had to keep on stepping. It got all the way down there. You know, you've heard the story countless numbers of times. Got all the way down, and the house that was there was already occupied. The one that God told me I was going to get. What now, God? Did I make a mistake? No, God doesn't make mistakes. And he knew that the house was going to be occupied for 2 or 3 more days beyond that, which I needed to get on the inside of it. But day by day, you know what I do with my furniture? I kept it inside a truck until about the second day. I guess I started getting weak in the face, so I took the stuff out of the truck and put it in a storage. But the very next day, the house opened up. So God said, I told you to leave the stuff on the truck. Wouldn't have to go and get a rental truck to load it back up again. Sometimes God tells you to do strange things. And when you tell your relatives about relatives, man, you know, what you doing? Why are you doing this? And sometimes people will stand in the way and try to stop you from doing what God told you to do. It sounds strange sometimes. After finding this animal, they were not to ask for it, but they were to take it. And if the action was questioned, to just merely say that the Lord hath need of him. The Lord already knew that coat would be tied. He already knew the age of the coat, how old the coat was. He knew that the coat had not been broken. He knew the owner. He knew what the owner would say when he asked, why are you bothering with it? Can I tell you this morning that when God tells you to do something, he already knows who he's told that got what it is that you got to go and get. He knows their spirit. He knows their disposition. He knows how they're going to handle the situation. But you don't know any of that. All you know is what God told you to do. And fear grips our hearts and say, God, suppose I make a fool out of myself. Suppose this thing isn't so the way it came to me. But suppose it is. Suppose it is just the way the Lord said it. Suppose he is the Lord of glory. Suppose he is an omniscient God and knows everything. And he just simply entered you in on the process and said, go get it, boy. Go get it, son. Go after it. It's tied up. But just because it's tied doesn't mean it's not yours. Loose it. Take it loose. All he's doing is holding on to it for you. Sounds good, doesn't it? But it requires a chance. It requires a chance. But what if it belonged to an unsaved man that you could have been arrested, assaulted for robbery? But this was not the first time the Lord had told his disciples just simply obey. You see, the Lord had an absolute right to their obedience. And their faith would be tested by the word he's asked them to do. God has a right to absolute obedience from you. Whenever he tells you to do something, you have no right to ask him why. If he says you need to leave and do this, but Lord, can you give me some more? All I told you is go. And we have no right, if he is our Lord, we have no right to question him. But yet we have every right to obey him. And by the way, if we don't, all he's doing is testing our faith. He gives us a word and then see whether or not you're going to carry it out or not. See whether or not you're going to have faith in him to bring those things to pass. Unquestioning obedience to truth and duty is rare today. It is our duty to fear God and keep his commandment. That's our duty. But unquestioning obedience